everybody, this is Miss Farina. Today we're going to be going over part 2 of the final exam review. So looking at the first question, 13A, it says the distance a car travels in X miles varies directly with how long the car has been traveling in hours. If a car travels 120 miles in 2 hours, how far will the car travel in 5 hours? So to solve this, we have to set up a proportion. Okay, our proportion is going to be the miles over the hours. So what that's going to look like is it said we traveled 120 miles in 2 hours, which is equal to how far the car will drive in 5 hours. So we want to figure out how far it is in 5 hours. So we know the hours, but we don't know the miles. So we're going to cross multiply and divide. So 120 times 5 is 600. And then x times 2 equals a 2x. We want to get x by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. 2x divided by 2 is just x, and 600 divided by 2 is 300. So when you see a griddable, okay, the first one is to determine positive or negative, and then that's where you start putting the numbers in the second box. So it's 300, and then you bubble in the number above it. Okay. Looking at 13B, so we're talking about an electrical circuit. So it has a voltage that is directly proportional to the current. If a current is 2 amps and it produces 120 volts, how many volts would 3.5 amps produce? Okay, so what it looks like is we're going to do amps over volts. So if I have 2 amps, it's 120 volts, which is equal to 3.5 amps, but we don't know how many volts yet. So again, we're going to cross multiply. So 2 times x is 2x. 3.5 times 120 gives us 420. And again, I want to get x by itself, so I divide both sides by 2. 2x divided by 2 is x. 420 divided by 2 is 210. Okay, so again, positive or negative. If it's positive, you don't really have to bubble in the positive symbol. So we have 210, and then we would bubble in accordingly. Perfect. Okay, looking at number 14. The graph of the linear function h passes through the point 4, 1 and has a slope of a negative 1/4. What is a 0 of h? So first off, saying h is just saying, hey, this is the name of the line that we want you to graph. Okay, what is the 0 of h? Remember, 0 means x-intercept. So we're looking for where does it cross this x-axis. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by plotting the point 4, 1, which is right here. Okay, then we want to use our slope to try to cross the x-axis. So we have a negative 1/4. That leaves us with 2 options. We can either have a negative 1 over 4, or we can have 1 over negative 4. They're all equivalent. So if I do negative 1 over positive 4, that means I go down 1 and to the right 4. If I had positive 1 over negative 4, I would go up 1 and left 4. I'm going to start with this one because I do want to go down to cross that x-axis. So if I go down 1 over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, puts the point right there. And if I were to connect the dots, that's where the line would cross the x-axis, and that looks like it's at negative 8. Okay, so when we're writing this in, you're just typing in the number negative 8, and that's it. Looking at the next one, okay, the graph of the linear function w passes through the point -3, 2 and has a slope of 2/3. So what is the 0? Again, 0 is just saying what is the x-intercept. Okay, so again, we're going to start by plotting the point that they give us, -3, +2. So -3, +2. Okay, my slope is a +2/3, which tells me I go up 2 and to the right 3 because both numbers are positive. But if I go up 2 and over 3, that crosses the y-axis, and I don't want it to cross the y-axis. I want it to cross the x-axis. So what we have to do is we have to understand that we can also go down 2 and to the left 3 because 2 negatives make a positive. So if I do that, I go down 2 over 3. I have a point right there. And if we look at it, we have it now where it crosses the x-axis right here. And that looks like it's point -6. Okay. Looking at our next one. So some word problems. Okay. The total cost of buying pizzas for Mrs. Smith's holiday party can be found using the function c of x equals 10 plus 3.50x, where x is the number of pizzas bought. If she wants to order at least 5 pizzas but not more than 9 pizzas for her class, what is the domain of the function for this situation? Well, first off, domain deals with the x values. Okay, that's where we talked about the Dr. XY. Okay, domain goes with the x values. So it tells us right here that x is the number of pizzas bought. Okay, and then it says she wants to order at least 5 pizzas, but not more than 9. So we know it needs to be between 5 and 9. So what we can eliminate is answer choice A, because that goes to 41.50. Which is probably the price, so we don't want to deal with that. Looking at answer choice D, that has 27. Again, that has something to do with the price, and that's not what we're dealing with. Looking at answer choice B, it goes from 0 to 9, and we want it again from 5 to 9, and that's continuous, meaning that we can buy partial pizzas and we can't, so we don't want that answer choice, which leaves us with answer choice C. She can buy 5 pizzas, 6 pizzas, 7, 8, or 9 pizzas, and that's all she would like to buy. So answer choice C. Okay. Looking at the next one, this actually is the same thing, so we're just going to ignore that. That's a mistake on our part. So one last question for you. Okay. Looking at 16a. It says, what is the equation of the line that passes through the point -3, 1 with an undefined slope? So it's saying undefined slope should have some bells going off in your head. Okay, this is where you need to remember the Hoy-Vux. Okay, so Hoy-Vux, horizontal line, 0 slope, y equals. And then we have vertical line, undefined slope, x equals, which means we want the Vux part because it has that undefined slope. It also tells us that it's an x equals equation, which means I can eliminate answer choice B and answer choice D. Now, how we determine what that value is you look at the point that's given to you. Okay, you want it to go through the x value that's given to you, which is -3, which means A is my answer. Okay. Looking at 16b, what is the equation of the line that passes through the point 4, 5 with a 0 slope? Again, another Hoy-Vux problem. Okay, horizontal line, 0 slope, y equals. That's the one we want. Okay, so again, it's a y equals equation, which means we can eliminate A and C. And again, we want it going through the point that it gives us, which tells us our y value is 5. So we want it to be answer choice B. Okay. Looking at the next question. Identify the y-intercept of the graph below. Okay. In red it says, reminder, only type in the y value of the ordered pair. Okay, not too bad. So y-intercept crosses the y-axis, which means my point's right here. So if we needed to write it as a point, or identify it as a point, it'd be 0, 5, but it tells us to just write the y value, which is just positive 5. Okay, looking at the next one, identify the 0 in the graph below. Okay, remember 0, we've talked about it a couple times already, but that's our x-intercept. Okay, so with an x-intercept, it crosses the x-axis. So that looks like it would be this point right here. If we had to write it as a point, it would be 3, 0, but it says only type in the x value, so we just want the number 3. Okay, looking at the next one, what is the solution set for negative 4x plus 10 is greater than or equal to 5x plus 55? So I'm going to show you how to do it by hand for part A and part B, and then I'll show you how to use a calculator to check your work if we needed to. So here we go. We're going to draw a line through the inequality sign. Okay. If you notice, we have x's on both sides. Okay, we need to get them to one side. So I'm going to go ahead and move this 5x to the other side by doing the opposite. So I subtract 5x. When I do that, negative 4x minus 5x is a negative 9x. I still have the plus 10 is greater than or equal to 5x minus 5x, zeroes out, and I have 55. Then my goal is to get x all by itself, so I need to add or subtract. So I'm going to subtract the positive 10 from both sides. When I do that, 10 minus 10 zeroes out. I'm left with a negative 9x is greater than or equal to 55 minus 10. That gives me 45. Okay. From here, I'm going to let's see, negative 9 and x are being multiplied, so opposite is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9. Okay, negative 9x divided by negative 9 is x. But because we divided both sides by a negative number, our inequality sign flips and opens up the other way. Okay, and then 45 divided by negative 9 is a negative 5, which leaves me with answer choice H. Okay, which would be A, B, C. So if you had to bubble in or select an answer choice, it'd be H or C, whichever one they give you. Okay, 18B, again, it's another inequality, so I'm going to draw a line through the inequality sign and I'm going to solve. So I have a number next to parentheses, which means I need to distribute. So 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times a negative x is a negative 5x is less than negative 2x plus 6. Okay, again, I have variables on both sides. I want to get it to just one side. So I am going to add 2x to both sides. I feel like moving everything to the left is easier for everybody. So I have 15, negative 5x plus 2x is a negative 3x is less than negative 2x plus 2x, zeroes out, I drop down the 6. Okay, from here, what I'm going to do is move over that 15. Right now it's a positive 15, so I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. Okay, 15 minus 15 is 0. So I'm left with a negative 3x is less than 6 minus 15 is a negative 9. Again, I want to get x by itself. It's being multiplied by negative 3, so I do the opposite and I divide by a negative 3. So negative 3x divided by negative 3 is just x. Once again, I divided both sides by a negative number, which means my inequality flips and opens up the other way. And then negative 9 divided by negative 3 is a positive 3. Okay, looking at my answer choices, that eliminates A, C because it's negative, and D. And then that leaves me with answer choice B. Okay, if we're able to at least solve this like they were equal signs instead of inequalities, that's going to be helpful. But the big part too is understanding when to flip that inequality sign. And after thinking about it, I don't know that there's a way to do this on a calculator. unless we're plugging in these values for x and looking for that true or false statement. But again, I'm not 100% accurate. That would actually work. Okay, so I think it's best to try to solve these by hand. If I come up with a different way or I discover a new way, I will make sure I share that. Looking at 19a, says which ordered pair is a solution set of y is less than or equal to 1/2 x minus 2. So again, what this is asking us is which one of these points will fall in the shaded area. Okay, so to fall in the shaded area, I'm going to show you how we can do it by graphing. So we're going to graph this. This is in the form of mx plus b, where b is my starting amount or my starting point. So I'm going to plot it at -2. And my slope is my direction. So it tells me I go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And I just keep repeating that process. I like to do it until I run out of space. Okay. You can also go down 1 and left 2, down 1 and left 2, and you see that it stays on the same line. Based on this inequality symbol, I should have a solid line. So I'm going to connect all the points, okay, which looks like that. Now about my shading. Okay, my y is completely by itself, so I can identify the shading. It's opening away from the y, which means I am going to shade below. Okay, which means, let me grab a darker color. We want this area down here. Okay, so what we want to see again is which point is in the shaded area. So looking at it, I'm going to plot each point and see which one falls in the shaded area. So we have 2, -1. So 2, -1 is right here. That's point A. Okay, I'm just going to plot all of them and then we'll make our decision. +1, +1. That's B. -2, -2. That's C. And 1, -1. That's D. So looking at it, clearly B, D, and C are not in the shaded area. A falls on the line, and since it's a solid line, that will work as a solution. Okay, if it were a dotted line, it would not be a solution, but since it's a solid line, it is a solution. Okay, looking at the next one. Okay, we're going to graph it, and then I'll show you what you could do to use a calculator. Okay, so it's already solved for y, which makes our life easier. Solid line, and it's opening up towards the y, which means we will end up shading above. But first, we got to start by plotting +4. And then we use our slope. We go up 1, right 3, up 1, right 3, or you can go down 1, left 3. Down 1, left 3. Okay. Then we connect the points. Again, I said that it's opening up towards the y, so we shade above in this case. And now I want to plot the points to see which is an ordered pair in the solution set. So I have -6, +1. I have -1, +6. I have 6, -1, +6, -1, and 1, -6. So looking at it, only B falls in the shaded area. Okay. So now, if we struggle with something like this, we can use our calculator, but you have to be able to plug in points. And what I mean by that is this is your x value, this is your y value. We're going to plug in these numbers in for x and y, and we're going to type it into the calculator. So what this looks like is 1 is greater than or equal to 1/3 times a -6. Instead of x, we plugged in -6 plus 4. So when we type this into our handy dandy calculator, it's either going to tell us that it's true, which means it is a solution set, or false, it's not a solution set. Okay, so I'm going to go over to our calculator. We're going to go New Calculator. And then I'm going to kind of split my screen a little bit. Okay, so we can see what we're typing in. So how we do this is we type in 1, and then on your yellow calculator, you're going to hit Control, which is the yellow button, and then the equal sign, and it gives you options for inequality signs. If you're using an iPad calculator, you just hold down the inequality sign, and it gives you the options where you can choose which one you want. So I want that one, 1/3. And instead of x, I'm plugging in a -6 plus 4. So I have it all typed in. I hit enter, and if I look, it tells me that the statement is false, which means that is not a solution. Okay, we already figured that one out. Now I want to look at answer choice B so you can see that it will tell you that it's true. So we have 6 is greater than or equal to 1/3 times a -1 plus 4. Okay, so I just plugged in the new point. So I have 6, again, my inequality sign, 1/3 times -1 plus 4. Okay, so I have that typed in. I hit enter and I look, oops, and it says that it's true. And that's the answer choice we got. So that's one way to do it by calculator if you forgot how to do it by hand. Okay, so there's that. Looking at question number 20. Okay, question number 20. It says the population for a small town in Texas is recorded in the table. What is the rate of change of y with respect to x for this function? So for this one, I'm going to do it by hand. Okay, again, rate of change, that's just asking for the slope. So to do this by hand, you would use our handy dandy slope formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay, we need to pick 2 points from the table, so I'm going to use just the first 2 ones that they give us right here. This would be my x sub 1, this would be my x sub 2, because the years are the x values. The population is the y values, so this is going to be my y sub 1 and my y sub 2. And I'm just going to plug them in. So I have 8,900 minus 8,600 divided by 2005 minus 2000. Okay, so you could just type that into your calculator like that. So let's go back to the calculator. Again, I'm going to put my paper there so I can see what I'm typing in. So I hit the fraction button. I'm going to do 8,900 minus 8,600 on top. On bottom, 2005 minus, I forgot a 0 on the 2000. There we go. I hit enter and it gives me, oops, 60. Okay, so 60, which would be answer choice A. Okay, now for 20B, I'm going to show you a different way on the calculator to do it. So it says, John started working on the animal control department, and an office has recorded Y, the number of stray dogs found each year in this district. The rate of change of this number of stray dogs with respect to the year is blank dogs per year. Okay, so what we're doing is, again, the rate of change, which means slope. This is my x value, this is my y values. Okay, to do this one, I'm going to show you how to use the list in spreadsheets again. So again, we type in x here, we type in y here, and then we're going to type in our table. Okay, so I'm going to type in all my years first. So I have 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. Okay, then I have my number of stray dogs. So I have 62, 55, 48, and 41. If you think about it, the numbers are going down, so our slope should be negative. Okay, so menu, statistics, stat calculations, linear regression mx plus b. For x list, I erase it and I'm going to type in x. So I'm going to scoot this over. Okay. For y list, I type in y. Oop, got to scoot it back over. And then one more time back over. Okay, put it back on the pencil. There we go. Okay. And then it tells me that my slope, move it one more time, is -7. Okay, which is answer choice C. I don't know if you can hear my dog. I apologize for him. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Okay, so I showed you two different ways to do the rate of change, again, which is just the slope. Looking at 21. Okay. The height of a baseball thrown in the air from the ground is modeled by f of x equals a -2x squared plus 8x, where this should say x because there's no t's in our equation, represents the number of seconds since the ball is thrown. What is the height of the ball after 2 seconds? Well, it tells us that x represents the number of seconds since the ball was thrown. And now we want to know how high it is after 2 seconds. So what we do for this is we're going to take 2 and we're going to plug it in for both x's that we have. So I have -2, and instead of x squared, it's going to be 2 squared plus 8 times 2. And then I just type that into my handy dandy calculator. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. Okay, I'm going to go to the calculate part, and I'm going to type it in. So I have a -2 times 2 squared is the x squared button. Okay, and then I have plus 8 times 2. I press enter, I get 8. That's it. And when we're doing this, we're just typing in the number, so it's just 8. Although it would be 8, does it tell us, is it feet? No, it doesn't even tell us what we're measuring, so I'm just going to say 8. Okay, so 21b. Your company is going to make frames that will be cut out of metal. The area is modeled by f of x equals 4x squared plus 34x, where x represents the width in feet of the metal. What is the area of the frame when the width of the metal is 4 feet? So again, x represents the width of the feet. Width in feet of the metal. We want to know when the width is 4 feet. So we're going to, again, plug it in. So I'm going to replace x with the number 4. I have 4 times 4 squared plus 34 times 4. Okay, so going back to my calculator, I have 4 times 4 squared. Again, to get the squared, it's that x squared button, plus 34 times 4. I hit enter, I get 200. And that's it for that. That's just the function notation, plugging in a value and evaluating to get an answer. Okay, looking at 22, okay, researchers in Antarctica discovered a warm sea current under the glacier that is causing the glacier to melt. The ice shelf of the glacier had a thickness of approximately 450 meters when it was first discovered. The thickness of this ice shelf is decreasing at an average rate of 0.06 meters per day. Which function can be used to find the thickness of the ice shelf in meters X days since the discovery? Well, it tells us that when we first found it or first discovered it, it had a thickness that was about 450 meters. That is our starting amount. Okay, if we remember y equals mx plus b, b is our starting amount. Okay, so what that means is we are going to have 450, okay, and then the thickness of the ice shelf is decreasing at an average rate of 0.06 meters per day. Well, decreasing, and we have that keyword per that tells us it's the slope, okay, Since it's decreasing, it's going to be a negative 0.06x. So looking at my options, t of x is just a fancy way to say y. So it looks like it's answer choice A. Okay. Looking at the next one. An organization has a monthly budget of X dollars. Okay. Every month, $2,070 is spent on salaries. 1/4 of the remaining budget is spent on monthly activities. Which function can be used to find the amount in dollars spent on monthly activities? Well, let's look at our answer choices. Okay, answer choice A and B has x divided by 4, and then we're either adding it to 2070 or subtracting it from 2070. But that doesn't really represent what it said, because it says that every month $2,070 is spent on salaries, and then 1/4 of the remaining budget is spent on monthly activities. Where this is saying that the 1/4 of the budget is being spent, and then we're either subtracting it from that 2070 or adding it, which means those don't even make sense. Okay, so now we're looking at C and D. The difference between them, again, is the signs right here. Okay, it's either showing that we start with our monthly budget and then we add or subtract the 2070. Well, if we're taking out that 2070 as part of salaries, we're subtracting it away, which leaves us with answer choice C. Okay, we're not adding $2,070 each month. We're taking it away for salaries. So answer choice C would be the correct answer there. Okay, so you just have to use a little bit of reason and logic for that. Okay, looking at 23A. What is the domain of the graph? What is the range of the graph? Well, first off, by looking at the graph, first domain. Okay, domain is our x values. Range is our y values. We have clearly 2 endpoints, which means all real numbers cannot be our answer. Okay, so looking at that, talking about our x values, which means we can eliminate C for the first one. And then if we're talking about the range one, we can eliminate answer choice A because it has an x. So now we're at a 50-50 shot. Looking at the differences between A and B for the domain, okay, looks like the inequality signs, either the line or no line. Well, I have 2 open circles, and remember, no line, open circle. Both of them are open circles, and we should have no line. Okay. Looking at the range, I have different values. I have a -1 and a +1 here, and the inequalities. So again, we had no line, open circle, and the y value here was a +1, so my answer is C. So A and C on this one. Okay. Looking at the next one. Again, domain is our x value, range is our y values. So looking at my answer choices, I can eliminate the y, the answer choice with y for the domain. Okay, and now I just need to double check the points. So I have this first point is -5, -2. And the second point is 4, 3. Okay, I do have an open circle and I do have a closed circle. That's important to notice. I'm talking about the x values for the domain. So it looks like I have -5 to 4. Again, open circle, no line, open circle. And then if I have a closed circle, it has a line. So looking at my answer choices, I know I can eliminate B because it's not using the correct values. And I want one with no line, and then the second one to have a line, which is answer choice C. Okay. Looking at the next one, I want the y values. Okay, so bottom to top, I'm going to go -2, the y values, so again I can eliminate d because it has an x, to 3. No line, open circle, and then closed circle gets a line. Okay, so looking at the answer choices, I can eliminate C because it uses the X values. Tried to be tricky. And then I want no line and line, which is answer B. Okay, so 2 different answers for that one. Not too bad. Looking at the next one, it says, what is the equation of a line that passes through the point 2, -4, and is parallel to the line represented by y equals 5x plus 9? So, it has to go through the point 2, -4, and it needs to be parallel to this line. Well, first off, we need to know that parallel means the lines have the same slope and different y-intercepts. Okay, so 9's not going to be used, which is fine. But the slope of this line is 5. And it looks like everything's in point slope form. So that is the y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. 2 is going to be my x sub 1, -4 is going to be my y sub 1, and 5 will be my slope. So I plug in everything. Y minus -4 is equal to 5 times x minus 2. I don't like having a double negative, so I simplify. 2 negatives make a positive, but only in the math world. And then I look to see my answer choices. So it should say y plus 4. So A is eliminated, C is eliminated, and D is eliminated, which leaves me with answer choice B. And that's it. Looking at 24B, what is the equation of the line that passes through the point -1, -24, and it's parallel to the line represented by y equals 3x minus 15? So again, parallel has to go through this point. So parallel, same slope, different y-intercepts. The slope of the line given is 3. -1 is my x sub 1. -24 is my y sub 1. I'm going to rewrite the point slope formula. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And now we just plug everything in. So y minus, I'm plugging in a -24, is equal to 3 times x minus, and I'm plugging in a -1. So I have some double negatives to take care of. So 2 negatives make a positive in the math world. So it's y plus 24 equals 3 times, again, another double negative, so it changes to a plus 1. So looking at my answer choice, I want it to be y plus 24 equals 3 times x plus 1, which looks like it's answer choice A. So if we look at B, the 1 and the 24 are switched. If we look at C, the -1 and the 3 are switched. We don't want that. And then looking at D, it has a +1 and a 3, which is not correct. So answer choice A. Okay, our last question. What value of n makes the equation true? So I'm going to show you how to do it by hand, and then I'll show you calculator. So draw a line through the inequality sign, and we got to distribute because we have numbers next to parentheses. So we have 4 times 0.5n, which is 2n, 4 times a -3, which is a -12, equals n, and then I have to distribute this -0.25. So -0.25 times 12 is a -3, and a -0.25 times a -8n, 2 negatives make a positive, and it's going to be 2n. Okay, if I look on the right side, it has some terms that can be combined, some like terms. So the left side is going to stay the same for now. N plus 2n is 3n minus 3. I want my variables on the same side, so I have a 3n and a 2n. From what it seems like, most of you like variables on the left side. So I'm going to move the 3n to the left side by subtracting. Okay, which gives me a negative 1n minus 12 is equal to a negative 3. I'm going to add 12 to both sides. So when I do that, the 12's zero out. I'm left with a negative 1n is equal to a positive 9. Okay, now you can't stop there because n's not by itself. We have a negative n, or a negative 1n, so I need to get n completely by itself by dividing by negative 1. When I do that, I get n is equal to 9 divided by negative 1, which is negative 9. Okay, which is answer choice B. Okay, you are able to do this in the calculator. I will show you how to use the calculator on 25B. And so if you do it by hand, you can at least check your answer. So going to the calculator, we want to be in the calculator part. We're going to go to Menu, Algebra, Solve Systems of Linear Equations. Number of equations, we change to 1 and hit OK. So now I'm going to bring the notes here so I can see it. And we just want to type in the equation exactly as it is. So we have 8x minus 3 times 2x minus 4 is equal to 3 times x minus 6. Okay, so again, I'm going to double check to make sure I typed in everything correctly. So I have 8x minus 3 times 2x minus 4, which is equal to 3 times x minus 6. Okay, I have everything typed in correctly. I hit enter, and then I move my notes to the other side, and it tells me my answer is 30, which means it's answer choice C. Okay, so I hope this helps. If you have any questions, make sure you're asking your teacher for help ahead of time. Don't wait till the last minute. This is a very important test. It's your final exam, so do the best you can and ask for help when you need it. Other than that, have a great day, Rangers.